righty, welcome back to another episode of the College Baseball Show, your Just Baseball Media, home for everything college baseball. We have another great episode of the Coach's Corner here. We are lucky enough to be joined by the Troy baseball head coach, Skylar Meade. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm great. You guys doing well?
Yeah.
Beautiful day here, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, we're really excited to have you on. The first question we kind of just always kick off with, just because there might be some viewers who might not know who you are, just give a little background on yourself, how you kind of got to where you are today as the head coach of Troy.
Yeah, I've been the head coach here at Troy since July of 2021. So it's been a fun 4 years that we've had down here in the beautiful southern part of Alabama. Prior to that, I was at South Carolina. I've been a pitching coach the entire time. It's my 19th year in coaching. So I was at South Carolina for 4 years before that, Michigan State 3 years before that, Middle Tennessee for 2. And I started my career at Eastern Illinois, the kind of the cradle of football. Tony Romo and Garoppolo and Mike Heimerdinger and Sean Payton and Brad Childress, Mike Shanahan, just for some maybe name recognition for people that don't know a lot about that. But I'm Louisville, Kentucky, born and bred. That's where I played college ball at. That's where I grew up. Still have tons of family there, and need to get back more. The off seasons get crazy with all the things that we do and events we run to or speak or this or that. Think I'm going to get back there this year, but we've had a great time here at Troy. Troy's been really good to us. We've had a blast. I think we've certainly created a pretty good identity in college baseball. We want to continue to elevate that most certainly. And, but I think it's pretty cool that, people are willing to, I know I'm the one that gets to come on these shows and whatnot, but I think I obviously as the head coach, you get to represent your program. I'm just glad that our program is thought of in a positive light. And we just got to continue to do that each and every year. And if you do that every year, then the chips are going to fall where they're supposed to, even if you don't like them sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Mark, go ahead. I think you were going to say something.
I mean, Coach, looking at now, back-to-back seasons here, 23, 24. You guys were ranked in the preseason. How does that feel coming into this season? We just released that schedule, and we were just talking about it off air. It's a good schedule. It's a good schedule to look at.
It definitely is. I don't know who signed off on that here. No, we've played good schedules every year. I know, you and I were speaking on that just moments ago prior to coming on. We've had a non-con strength schedule of, over the last 3 years, 15 and 18. 2 of them is where they finished up. One of them was 88, and the 2024 season are non-con, but we're fortunate first and foremost, just from a location perspective. But also, we're going to challenge ourselves, and we want our guys to be in the national spotlight. And, I think that's helped us a lot in terms of our branding and our name recognition. And, one thing I think I defend a little bit, and I don't really care how people take it. I do speak my mind at all times, fair or foul, but, people probably didn't love us being ranked maybe in the preseason last year. And, we were ranked the year before that, and obviously the year before that. And but when you never fall out of the poll, that means you continue to play well each and every week. And so I think we certainly lived up to that part of it, which I'll at some point later in life, I'll be very proud of. Right now, you're just so tunnel visioned on what's next. But I think that the respect that we've gotten has been earned. I don't think it's some just, we just give these guys some love and some this and that. Like, we win games.
Yeah.
Like, numbers speak for themselves. And would I like to win more games? You're absolutely. I would love to win every game. I'd love to go 73-0, but it's not how baseball works. It's very difficult, especially as you mentioned, the type of teams we play. So it'll be interesting to see, as we and everybody goes through the next 4 months, how their teams evolve and develop. And you really don't know any. I was just on the phone with Mark Calvi at South Alabama, obviously longtime great coach there, coached South Carolina like myself before that. You just don't know until you start seeing other teams. That's the beauty of some of these fall games, to maybe give you some different things to look at. But the reality is, we're a long ways away from knowing how the fortunes of 2026 will turn out for us and the other 306 teams in college baseball.
Yeah, I love that. And I was going to kind of touch on that. You talked about kind of people being upset that you all were ranked. But to me, like, when you win 39 games or you win 40 games, regardless of conference, like, you have a good baseball team. I think that to me is like one thing that I've always kind of looked at coming from working at a mid-major. I worked at the University of Nevada, Reno. I think my last year there, they won like 45 games, didn't make the NCAA tournament. So like things like that kind of pop up all the time. How do you all kind of just go to about your day-to-day business, like regardless of the noise of you all potentially being overlooked and things like that?
It's interesting in this day and age of college baseball, your teams kind of change a lot. I mean, you look at even, last year we had a bunch of seniors. We have 5 guys that went into professional baseball, which we're very proud of. But we have 24 new players. We have 14 returners. Just my pitching staff alone is 16 new guys and 5 returners. Like it's a lot of implementation that's new, both in just your baseball, but also like, what are your motivators? Things that have happened here in the past don't mean as much to the group as a whole because 66% of them are new.
Yeah.
But I also know that the chip that we've brought to our, shoulder, if you will, to use cliche, like since we got here, that's what's put us in the spotlight. And I never forget this. And this is just me. And I know people might, think differently, but I never forget this is about entertainment. So every opportunity you guys, asking me to come on here and speak of the program, and I will go on anywhere, everywhere to speak about the Troy Trojans. And if that makes our program have name recognition and puts us in a positive light, that's not a negative. That's a positive. It's good for us. There's a reason all 4 years here, we've had season ticket records. We'll probably have them again here. We unveiled those yesterday. We'll probably break those again. It's entertainment within the confines of sports. And so we're not going to apologize for that.
I love it.
We're just not. And, if people, I don't know how much people talked about Troy in the past. I don't think it's as much as it is now, but that's my job. That's a good thing. And that goes to a lot of people, our administrators, our chancellor, the people who have devoted to baseball, to our fans who have, put on a good deal. The new stadium that we have that's so beautiful right outside my window. Like there's a lot of factors that go into it at once, but if you're not promoting your product and not putting yourself out there, then what are you doing? You're not going to win a beauty contest if you don't join, right? So I'm not afraid for us to get in there and get in the mix, even if that means that at times people don't like it.
Coach, talking about how we got a lot of new players this year, right? How do you guys breed that like leadership of these next round of guys? These guys got to teach that new group coming in and continue this thing going. I mean, like you said, Troy baseball over the last 4 years has been tremendous. And a lot of that's you guys have built up these leaders. You guys have these, like last year, a lot of seniors. How do you push that onto this next class and have these guys step up into that leadership role?
Some of it's some of it, it's not a real, sexy answer. It's like some of it happens through osmosis and guys learn day in, day out. I think the other part though is over time, I think that the importance of every day, the importance of what we do and promoting to them that like every game you play here matters. So there's a standard that has been set before you. And a lot of times, especially in the recruiting process, I do think these guys, at least the way that we recruit, and I think a lot of programs that have recruited well, such as us, we're certainly not the only one. There's a lot to do it. But when these guys get a little bit of a peek in the window as to how we go about it, like I think they know what they're walking into. And so they kind of welcome that. I think that's why they chose us. Like you're not choosing Troy to go like shopping. Like you're not going for a mass amount of restaurants. You're not going for a mass metropolitan. Like you came here to be great at baseball, to win games, to give yourself a chance for professional and to have a great experience. Like that's what you're signing up for aside from your academic endeavors. Like that is what you sign up for. And so we've been very specific in making sure that's whom we recruit. Those guys have to fit kind of our criterion. And at times there might be a guy that we don't get and we go, man, maybe that was probably a good thing because they may not have fit those deals. And we miss like everybody. But I think that to your question, Mark, I think that's been why we've been able with new guys every year, lots of them, to be able to still create and cultivate that leadership aspect. Look, you have to have me as a head coach, our assistants whom are great. We can be white noise if there's not internal buy-in amongst players. And so I think our guys have done a good job of that. I feel very, very good about the group that we have now, even this early on, as we do this October 16th, we're like 65 days in since our first team meeting. I feel in a really good spot with that. And in college baseball, that matters. Like in the big leagues, sometimes if you got Ohtani and Freddie Freeman, like you just win, right? College baseball with the grind and the travels and the emotions, like I do think those things can give you a 3 to 5 game pivot that is huge in your season, especially if you're, as we are. People might not like the term, but we're a mid-major. There's the power 2, there's the power 4, and then there's everybody else. We're trying to be an SEC team that's in the Sun Belt in a sense, you know what I mean? Just in terms of where we want to be looked at. And so it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work for players, but I think our guys are doing the right things thus far to make us feel excited as we move forward.
Yeah, and you kind of talked about just some of the insights from the fall. You all had one of the top 25 transfer portal classes. You brought in Blake Dean from Kansas State, Tommy Egan from UIC, a bunch of other guys. How are things looking so far this fall for you all? And kind of what are some of the positives that you're seeing within this team right now?
I mean, obviously we brought in a lot. Most that we've had, and like you alluded to it a little bit ago, like part of it was we just had a lot of seniors and we had guys going Pro Bowl. So part of it was just numbers. So we weren't going to fill out our roster. No, we got to go get players. Everybody has been as advertised. Aaron Piasecki is one of the elite bat to ball guys in college baseball. That's not just opinion. That's a numerical fact. Nico Aspaqueta has real juice. Josh Pine is an elite leader and ball player. Blake Dean is, got great stuff. Tommy Egan, Ben Stubbs, Dylan Alonso, like they have like real professional talent. Lucas Littoral, if he's his best self, is really, really good. I mean, I could continue down the list. I mean, there's a lot of them, but every one of them, like when you see them go about their work, you say that's why they're here. A Hayden Smith who came from Kentucky, who hadn't gotten a ton of innings, but he's a lefty who's low mid 90s, and there's great makeup, great physique, and you go, okay, if we can get this confidence to be in the right spot and the right repertoire, we can really utilize that, i.e. a Colby Frida, who's with the Mets, who came to us from Kentucky, to just use an example, if you will, that we have to be good at that. That's become a huge niche for us. And so I've been very happy with all the guys. It doesn't mean that they don't have their flaws. We had a meeting yesterday with pitchers and catchers, just kind of talking and showcasing some of the things that we can, certainly do better. But I think everybody's doing that. Especially for us, we're 2 weeks into fall, like team practice. Like you're starting to get exposed on certain things. You're also maybe exposing others with certain things you do well. So it's all about learning and attacking those. Especially me, I have zero patience. I think it's a good trait, but others probably think it's a flaw. But I don't have a lot of patience, so I want to attack those things very, very quick. But our portal class, they have lived up to the billing in terms of what the talent aspect is to this point.
Yeah. Coach, I know that we talked a little bit about conferences, right? And you just said, the top 2, ACC and SEC, and then the others in the Power 4. When you talk about greatness breeding competition, that Sun Belt now, I mean, you could throw it right up there with any of the top conferences. I know I had them ranked above some of those conferences last year. Do you think that the whole talent overall in the whole conference has just gotten better with how good some of the top end play has been in Sun Belt Conference?
Absolutely. Look, I think our league, while it has garnered more respect over the last couple of years, I mean, you look at if you want to go to RPI over the last 7 years, and you look at the trend of where it was in 18 as like a 10, 11, and then it, has dipped over those years into the 5s. I know last year it dipped down a couple. But just think of it historically, what Coastal has done with Coach Gilmore, and then obviously what they did last year under Coach Schnall in his first year. I mean, nothing but incredible. What Southern Miss has done over the last 30 years is insane through a multiple amount of coaches. Obviously, Coach Ostrander doing an elite job now. Louisiana's history, what they've done. Coach Deggs is always going to have those guys ready. You look at Georgia Southern with Coach Hennon, what they have had historically. Old Dominion is a really, really good program that probably isn't talked about enough. Coach Calvi, the success they've had at South Alabama over his 15 years. You just keep going. You look at what Coach Beals is doing with Marshall. I mean, they have really taken a huge elevation. I could go around early. Kermit, I think what Kermit Smith did with App State in 2023 was when they really made a turn. And then obviously at the 24 was one of the best coach, if not the best coaching job in our league. You could just continue, down up and down the list. People know about Coastal because of where they ended up last year and what they've had historically. But I think, You look at what Coach Silva did with Arkansas State, really elevating them last year. Like, I think those are the things that maybe aren't talked about yet on a national scale. I know you guys and some people that really dive in the weeds talk about those things, but just maybe like not on the full-fledged national scale are they known yet. But my hope is that they are, because that's good for us too. We need our league to be good, to blend with what we do from a scheduling perspective, because everything that you do is strategic in that scheduling, and it has to be. It simply has to be if you want to be in the conversations that we strive to be in. The Sun Belt in the sport of baseball is not a one-bid league. It's not like in hoops. We had basketball here yesterday. Coach Cross and all his guys like hanging out and doing baseball stuff in their league in basketball. And they won it last year, and they got to dance in March, but they got to win the league. That's not the case in the Sun Belt.
No.
And but we need to make sure that continues to be the case league wide. And I've been very impressed with our coaches. And our coaches, it's a great grouping of people, but also what they do with their programs and the way that they've all elevated their programs over history, I think is very impressive. And hopefully it is respected on the national scale the way it should be.
Yeah, I was going to say I was down for the SEC tournament. I had more fun at the Sun Belt and the SWAC tournaments than I did at the SEC.
Hey, I'm telling you, that Sun Belt one. Well, especially too, sometimes I think parks can dictate a little bit. In Montgomery, park can play a little bit fast. I think it adds a little bit more ability for runs. It actually played a little bit more realistic in terms of like the size. But the last couple of years, the wind had been blowing out, so there'd been the ability for some more high scoring games. I spoke on this. It was funny. I was doing a podcast about a year ago, and I always say I think the one negative we have in college baseball, and I think scoring runs obviously has been up for. Is it the tighter baseballs? Is it the bats? Is it the velocity? Is it the skill to hit velocity? We could go through all the reasons, but I think it's weird that when we get to the end, right, in Omaha, it's a different game because of the stadium. It's unlike any other time. I was explaining to my wife watching the playoffs. She's like, is your field, and my wife knows ball, but she was like, is your field like similar in size to the ones that we're watching, Dodgers, Mariners? And I said, it's funny you asked, because they are, but they're not, because of just the way that they play. The wind might be blowing out at 20 today, and it's a weak pop-up, it's a home run, whereas those stadiums are more protected the way that they're designed. And so that's what I enjoy. You mentioned the Sun Belt tournament, generally speaking, it has the ability to be offensive, which I think is fun. Going to see an 8-6 game where, hey, one swing can change this is exciting to me.
Yeah. And I mean, to me too, I think the other thing that people don't realize, fans packed out that Sun Belt, especially for Coastal, for you all, for Southern Miss, people were there and people are showing up. And I think that's the one thing that's really cool. It's just this game is growing, and just the way the Sun Belt Conference has kind of put themselves ahead as one of the elite baseball conferences in college baseball is just awesome.
Well, hey, listen, I know some of them like me and some of them probably don't, but those Southern Miss fans, my goodness, they take over, and I credit them. They've gotten a little bit. We've played them in those tournaments, and we've had some legendary battles there. But man, those fans, they, it's one thing for fans to be active, whether it be on socials or engagement type things, but it's another to just always show up. And I tell you what, those people show up, they support the heck out of their kids and their, their coaches and all that. And yeah, they do a takeover there now. You get to that weekend, and we played them on the weekends there in that tourney. You get in that Final Four. Those people they're rearing and ready to go. You're walking or you're doing something early in the morning before the games, and you're like, man, did I just see another 15 of them driving in town? So I've seen, as a college player, my first year as a player was 2003, which certainly makes me feel a little older now saying that. But we played at Southern Miss. I was a freshman in college, and they had a closer, Austin Tubbs. I remember the whole deal like it was yesterday. And I'm like, man, there's 5,000 people here, on a Friday night at 6. That was my first kind of taste. And now obviously I get to experience it every year. Sometimes I don't love it as much, but I get to experience it every single year.
I love it. Coach, one thing I wanted to ask you about, because I'm always curious when we interview different coaches, learning more about your coaching philosophy, how you kind of develop that over time. So have there been key people, mentors, things like that have helped you develop your philosophy? And what's your kind of philosophy with the current players you have and as you kind of develop your teams?
Well, let me first just, I always shout out the guy who hired me first. When I was 22 years old, I just finished playing in Omaha like 9 days before. That is a true story. But, I got hired to be a pitching coach, and I got to recruit. I was a second assistant at 22 years old. So Jimmy Schmidt's up there at Eastern Illinois, took a chance on me and obviously gave me a lot of responsibility. And fortunately, I always say fortunately, we won our league first 2 years and played in the NCAA tournament and got nationally ranked, and we did okay. And so he let me do what I wanted to do with the pitchers, or else maybe it wouldn't have worked out so well. But, him taking a chance on me, everyone I've worked for, first off, is you'd be lying if they don't have a part, Jim McGuire, Jake Boss, Mark Kingston, like they all have parts in what you do, or even just things that you say or don't say sometimes. But, Dan McDonnell I played for, I lean on him heavily. Chris Levonas, he was an assistant that I played for, obviously national champion in 2021 there with Mississippi State, one of the best coaches in the country. Called me 5 minutes before we got on this podcast. I said, "Hey boys," I said, "I can't talk. I got the boys coming in." But, obviously there's coaches that I really, talk to in college baseball that, they probably, some of them, it's not that I talk to them all the time, but I really, watch what they do. I think of Cliff Godwin, who I know and I talk to, but I watch just how passionate he is. I'm friends with Tony at Tennessee, and we talk, and I'll ask, program-ish questions to him. Nolan Kane is an assistant at Texas who I'm very close with, but I respect obviously he works for Schloss, whom I know a little bit, but you got to respect what they do, recruiting, development, defense, all of it. And so, there's a lot of guys, but I will tell you, I say all that to give love to people who I think deserve it. But one thing that I have done, and this goes to the original question, it's like, I've stayed true to who I am and how I go about it and how I treat our players. I know we're in a different age, right? These guys, some of them make money. Some of them, they got a lot of different people in their ear. To me, honesty and being real with people, I will never change that. And I will not change that, because I just think you're still dealing with people. And so, if you need to tell them something that maybe they don't like, but you explain why, and you do it with compassion and care, and hey, this is why we're saying that. Hey, I know you're not good at this. That doesn't mean you won't be, but also here's the pathway that we see to get better. We tell guys when they come to us on a visit, like, we're not giving you a recruiting spiel. And we're not saying that to be cliche. How we talk to you, how I'm sitting, the table I'm talking to you guys on this podcast, the tall table in my office that overlooks the field, right? I'm talking to you the way that I will talk to you if you play for me. Now, you may not like that. You might be like, man, this guy's too much of an open book. That's fine. Don't play for us. Don't play for me. But we treat our guys right. We will fight for our guys. We will protect our program. I think kids respect that because they know that it's genuine. I still run around the field like I'm a player, like I did 19 years ago. I don't care what people think about that. That, to me, having energy is a big part of our program. If I want our guys to have energy and I have bad energy, how in the world could you follow me? Right? Hey guys, follow me into if you want to go cliches, follow me into the fire, follow me into the foxhole. Oh yeah. Well, if I'm a dullard and a bum on a daily basis, and I'm a ebb and flow of my personality and mentality, why would you follow? Why would you do that? And so I tell everyone, I'm 41 years old. I haven't had a bad day yet. I've had bad moments. Everybody has a bad moment. You wake up and you go, man, what happened last night really sucked. Your favorite team lost. You had something happen to you. Okay. But I've woke up every day like, let's go. Like, I'm ready to go. And I think not just myself, but our staff embodies those same things. And I think that you see a bit of a resonance in that with our players. And I think people like that. I had spoke to an athletic director of a school one time. We were just talking pregame, and he said, "Hey man, you guys act like a football team. You guys are nuts." And he said, "How do you do that?" And I said, "We just tell them, man, be who you are. But if you get out of what we allow, which, not to go in the weeds on this, but like, I don't allow our guys to, we're not doing that. We're not yelling at other teams. We're not causing this stuff. I'm not saying there's never been a blip in the radar, but like, we don't allow that. Like, that stuff's nipped in the butt. But our guys are psychos with one another, and I want that, because you got to have passion. As you mentioned, the emotion of college baseball is important. to winning and losing. We let our guys do that. We let them be who they are, and you know, they know that I'm at least being who I am. Whether you love that every moment or you dislike it in a moment, that's okay. But at least someone goes, well, I know what I'm about to get. If I half-heartedly run first to third here, I probably am going to get chewed. And then he's probably going to go to first, and he's going to run as hard as he can first to third and slide in there just to show me that it can be done better, you know. And like I said, all of our coaches do that. Obviously, I have to do that from the top, and so I think that you see a spillover effect into that in the way we want our program to look. Not every program's the same. Other programs are more, you know, maybe here. That's okay, but that's just not how we are.
Yeah. Coach, I know last year I had 3 Sun Belt teams ranked for most of the year in my rankings. And you look across, you go, there's so many good teams here. How do you guys get to the top of this conference? And then talk about a little bit how much it would mean for Troy to be able to host a regional.
Well, I mean, certainly to be able to do that, that's in our you know, our dreams, our goals here in this program, not just from me, but you know, from our now former athletic director, Brent Jones, who was instrumental. And I didn't bring him up. I know you asked more kind of coaches, but he was my AD for 4 years. He's amazing. Went to Georgia Tech now. But just, I mean, taking a chance, you know, on me at the time, no head coaching experience at 36 and doing what he did, like it changes the course of like lives when people make decisions like that are positive for you. But our administration, that's a huge goal of ours. But how do we overcome the hill of, you know, the Coastal and the Southern Miss and, you know, the prior years, the Louisianas who we've, you know, you go look, I mean, standings, you can go look these things up. They don't change. We finish third in our league every year. And, you know, we got to find a way, you know, we got to make that play, make that pitch, you know, make that decision in the 7th, 8th of some of these games. You know, and look, I can call a spade, right? So, you know, we've won 6 of the last 7 we've played against Coastal. We'll beat them the next time, right? Those are actual numbers, but guess what? We lost our games to Southern Miss. We've lost 6 of the last 7 to Southern Miss, right? So every recipe is different. And there's things that, you know, we'll figure out. Maybe there's decisions that I could make better. There's a lot of things that go into it. But to me, the thing that I think you can control, and it's kind of an old basketball adage as a Louisville fan, right? Greatest basketball state in the world with the University of Louisville. And although I never could root for the University of Kentucky as a Louisvillian, right? But you look at the greatness, and every year you would look at their program's basketball and you would get to March and you go, they got a chance, right? My thought is we have to recruit and develop and cultivate culture in a way that every year, regardless of where we end up, we were in the mix, we were in the fold, we were in the fire come May. And I think if we do that every year, when our time comes, our time will come. That doesn't make the pain of different moments that you have any less, but I just think that's a reality is everyone says it, but like you do look at programs and like, look, it's part of the mid-major life. Sometimes there are programs that hit these highs and lows. Our goal is to just continue this thing like this. We hope that there's this, right? If we're talking, let's use Coastal. If my hand is Coastal did this last year, getting to the national championship. Agree, right? Yeah. I'm not saying that we have to get to a national championship for that to be the thing, but our goal, we talk to our team, our goal is to win a national championship. And I don't say that to you guys on this podcast to look cool, or we speak to our team about it all the time because we think that's a reality. We know the level of player we have. We know what we have in our back pocket with our development, our culture. That doesn't mean we get there, but that's our goal. I'm not going to say, man, you know what? Let's be the 18th best team in the country. Like, that's not the goal. That's stupid. Like, we have to do what LSU's doing, but we got to do our way better. If you will, right? Or Tennessee the year before, or LSU before that, or Ole Miss the year before that, or Miss State the year before. So you just gotta fight that way, and when the time comes, you just gotta be ready to grab that opportunity, you know, when it's there.
No, I love that. Last question I have before we kind of go into a little bit more fun questions here. It's just for you. You talked about kind of the goal being Omaha and going to winning a national championship as well. But what are some of the things that you're looking forward to in the 2026 season? I have to imagine every season's different. You have some of the things that you look forward to that are the same, but are there some things that you're looking forward to this upcoming season?
There's a lot. Well, it's funny. We're opening on the road for the first time
Yeah.
in 21 years here at Troy. We open at Mercer, obviously great program, wins tons of games every year. I think top 70 or 75 RPI last year. So that'll be I don't know everything about them. We're 4 months away, so I'm not in recon mode, but I know they're going to be good, and I know it's going to be a tough place to play. So I'm excited to see what that's like. That's certainly different. We haven't been on the road here. Obviously, no one's been on the road here in 21 years, but those things excite me. Part of me I'm almost more excited to see what it looks like. I mean, look, I'm focused on our practice today. I was typing it up before we go. But as the calendar does turn to 26, I'm very curious. We have that longer window now to do team practice. We're going to get to kind of get in the fold a little bit more. Like, I'm really excited to see when guys come back from break, how quickly they look like they're in game mode. Because I think that can be a great indicator to how prepared you are to start the year. And I feel like we have done a very good job of that. If you look at our starts each and every year, the numbers would align with that. 15-5, our first year was what we started out, 11-0, and 23 and 24. I think we got to 9-1 last year. I think we got to 11-1. Like, you can just, and I don't know what that means for this year. That doesn't mean the numbers have to equate or be better, but I just think we were prepared to start. And so I'm very curious as we move forward if our team will have that same ability come the turn of the calendar, because they're going to have to, by obviously the challenge that we have ahead in that slate.
I love it. Mark, you got any questions before we?
No, let's get into the fun stuff.
Yeah. So first question I always ask is for you, mindset's always on baseball. What are some of the things that you like to do outside of the game to kind of get your mind off of baseball or kind of just do for fun?
Well, I mean, my kids are crazy. I have 6 and 9-year-old boys. So one won a flag football championship last week, so his life's made. The other one's become obsessed with soccer over the last 6 days. So we've been doing a lot of soccer in the mornings before school. So I do enjoy that, not to sound cliche, but that is fun. I'm a huge Ravens fan. Lamar Jackson is my guy. Now, it's not been fun this year. What's going on? I can own that. I like college hoops. My alma mater looks like they're going to be better. Obviously, I go to tons of Troy games here to watch Coach Cross and the guys. So that's a lot of fun for me and my whole crew. I work out all the time. I enjoy that. I need to, this, maybe you guys can be my therapy session. I need to start playing more pickleball. I started playing more pickup basketball last year. People think I'm an idiot for that, but I need something competitively, to help me. The Peloton leaderboard does not necessarily move the needle with a bunch of random screen handles that I'm beating. That doesn't help me. So I need an outlet. So I need a hobby, bad. So I need to get on that. I don't have enough time for golf, but I need to do something. But my wife and I watch a lot of shows. I'm sure you guys do too. We're in the morning show right now. The Diplomats back. We're rolling on those, and there's some old. You get that month of December. You can get in there a little bit. You can get in the weeds on some good shows. So I do look forward to that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You got to keep the competitive nature going. I feel I had to pick up golf when I moved up here to Central Oregon. It's all right, I'm in a golf destination. I better start learning how to play this game better than I did in college. And got the handicap down now to 12, but it's a tough game. Coach,
that's not bad.
We get a weird question all the time. Everybody wants to know food. Everybody's like, oh, what do they eat on the road? What do they eat during the games? What's the destination you get on the road? When you're going on the road, you're like, okay, I know I'm going to eat here. And what's the game day food for you?
All right. So if you haven't noticed, I'm pretty much an open book. My first year, all right, we get to Georgia Southern, okay, get to the hotel, and Chipotle. We do not have Chipotle in Troy now. I know that might kill us in recruiting. We don't, but I love Chipotle. By the way, if Chipotle people are listening, them getting rid of that chicken this summer they had was the stupidest thing ever. That chicken was amazing. They're idiots for that. But we go to Georgia Southern, and myself and a couple of the other coaches, we ate Chipotle 6 times over the course of 3 days. In fact, we go to Kennesaw in 9 days, and we're gonna have Chipotle for post game. Like, I already know that. I already requested that. I mean, we eat a lot of good stuff, but like that Chipotle, my 2 favorite are Chipotle and Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Yeah.
We
I
were
was gonna say
that's what we ate in Jupiter when we were there recruiting last week. Like me and our coaches, it's like, hey, we got to get some food, right? I was like, Chipotle.
Yeah.
And later, Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Like, we're not missing our opportunity. We're just not.
Got to find out a Troy alum to open up a Chipotle franchise in the area.
Hey, let me tell you something. If they did, I would invest. You can hold me to that on this deal right now. I would invest heavily.
I love it. Next question I had is, so for you, if you could go back and coach any one team, any kind of sport, like what team would you want to coach and why? There's a lot of options here.
So many choices.
Okay. This is really off the rails one, but so my last year in college, 2006, Louisville football was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Brown, the quarterback, Mario Urrutia, Michael Bush, he broke his leg first game. But long-time NFL guy. Matt could go. I mean, I know all the Harry Douglas, 11 years in the league on ESPN now. I mean, there's a lot of good players. Peanut Whitehead was a top 50 player who's on defense, really good. And they end up losing to Rutgers late in the year. The famous Jeremy Ito kick, looking into the camera thing, still makes me want to puke.
Yep.
But that team was so good, and I mean, essentially ended up being one moment from actually being in a national championship game. I mean, they were third in the country. They win that game. They end up being top 2. I would have loved to have coached that. Obviously, I knew a lot of the guys, just being an athlete with them. But they were so good, and they played like just a reckless way. Sometimes reckless off the field too, but but it was like that kind of that what if, that what if group. And as a coach, you always look and you're like, man, what if we could have done one other thing? And obviously that's hindsight. The coaches did an amazing job there to get them where they are. But I would have loved to have coached that team just because they had so many pieces and so deep. And they also were, I guess in a way, it's what I hope our program at least has done, where you go, like Louisville football, like people are like, who cares? Right. But then it was like, whoa, like these dudes are real. I guess in a weird way, like the symbolic nature of like, I hope our program that's, people always say, what do you want them to say about your program? What do you want? It's like, I just want them to be like, holy crap, those guys are good. Like, you know what I mean? Like I like for them to say a lot. I mean, yeah, you love for them to say, hey, they're national champions. Well, yeah, of course. But like if someone just gets in our park, a scout, an agent, whatever comes in, right? I just want them to leave and go, oh my God, those guys are good, man. Like, and that's what I always thought about that 06 team. So that's my answer. I'm going to go with that 06
I love
team.
it.
I like it. I mean, shoot, I would have gone back to the 01 Beavers when they should have won a national championship. But again, they missed a field goal in the last seconds against Washington and lost that one and lost their one game. And then they beat Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl 49-7. So
that was a dominating game. I actually remember that game.
Yeah.
I have a ridiculous memory, which actually many times can be a curse, at least for those around me. And so all those different things, like when you asked that question, I started thinking of all the like fringy, like could be the best, but something happens team. That was like where my brain went immediately,
If it wasn't baseball, coach, what would it have been? I mean, obviously we were where we're at now, but if it wasn't baseball, where would we be?
All right. So I'm going to take you to 2007, June of my, I was fortunate enough, Coach McDonnell's first year, we played in Omaha. Yeah. Great times, but you're kind of assessing life. Like, hey man, maybe I'm going to get a chance to play. Can I play? What? But my 3 things were storm chaser, law school, or actor. And I think the acting is probably the one that would have, although I do like the law element. It's just, man, the grind of those, times to get through all the tests or whatever was a little bit of obviously it's a deterrent for a lot of people, but I think the acting, the television aspect would have been that probably would have won out.
Yeah, I was gonna say storm chasing would be an interesting one.
I mean, you were already in Omaha. You just go buy a van and then just start taking off right from there, right? That moment, right when you're done playing.
I shouldn't admit to being such I like to think I'm a tough guy, but I had a moment of being a big sissy. About 2010, a tornado warning happened. I'm in Eastern Illinois, and you can find these different things. They say there's a tornado on the ground. It was 6 miles up off this exit, and so I was like, I'm gonna go see this. So I got about a mile from where it allegedly was, and that wind really kicked up, and I realized quickly, I'm like, I'm not seeing very well. I actually don't understand what angle this is coming from. I don't know for this. And I had to abort that mission pretty quick.
Is that when storm chasing went out the window? You're like, nah, I'm good.
Well, I was 2 years into coaching at that point.
Yeah.
So I was already kind of dove in. I think that was more of a reminder that you may be on the right path.
You chose the right thing with baseball.
Yeah, I love it. Coach, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us on the College Baseball Show, man. We're really excited to watch you all this year. Awesome schedule coming up. I know we're going to have some guys out at some of your games, at least the Sun Belt tournament too. Just really excited to see what you all can do this year.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. And I appreciate what you guys are doing. I really mean this. Like, we have the greatest growing game in college sports and in college baseball. That's not just a college baseball coach's opinion. I think the numbers that you see with Omaha, the television numbers, just the internals of what you see with the fandom and a lot of leagues. But I think a big part of it that is maybe a little undervalued, you guys promoting, look, I get to be the one on here, but we're promoting college baseball. We're not promoting myself or Troy. I get to speak some words, but we're just putting different people in that light. And, I know you guys have had some guys on. I think you had, what did you have? Jay, did you guys have Jay on? I think last week, like just the promotion of this product. There's a lot of places that do it well. There's a lot of great characters in this game. There's a lot of great motivators. I tell everyone all the time, they're like, who's the best motivator in college athletics? I'm like, dude, go listen to Dan McDonnell speak.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's not coaching football, but like that guy's amazing, and I know I played for him, so I'm partial, but like that's a great motivator. There's a reason a lot of college football teams have had him come speak. I know that for a fact. But there's just great people, and you guys are giving an avenue for that. And so number one, I commend you, but number two, like you guys have done your recon, you do the work, and I think that's great for everybody. So I thank you guys for that, not just having me on, obviously, but for what you're doing, weekly and yearly and what you got ahead. It's awesome for the game.
No, Coach, we appreciate that. And I know Mark can probably second this, but I think for us, when we talk behind the scenes too, it's like, this isn't just for us. We want to be able to provide the spotlight for you all and to really shed light onto the human beings who make up the game, right? This sport is such a great sport, but there are incredible human beings who make it up on an everyday basis. So our goal is to not just showcase the game, but just to showcase the people.
Yeah. I mean, so many of us have a background in this game. We love this game, and that's why we do this. I mean, it's not for being on the camera and anything. We want to make sure we're promoting everything else that goes on in college baseball because we love this game.
And there's certainly some characters in this game that you guys very well know. We got a couple on our team, trust me.
Yeah. Coach, thank you again so much for taking the time and wishing you guys nothing but the best this year.
Thanks, fellas. I look forward to seeing you guys again soon.